Okay, hi everyone, and welcome today to Katie Lawrence of Riviera PR and Deciphering Dressage. Hi, welcome, Katie.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, I've known Katie for years. In fact, I know Katie so well, I dragged her along as bridesmaid at my wedding. So we've shared many happy times together. So I just thought it would be fabulous to bring Katie on today because Katie runs Riviera PR, which is her new recent venture, which is very exciting. And also has, for all the time I've known her, has actually had really big corporate demanding jobs whilst doing her dressage as well. So today we're going to be talking about social media and PR. We're going to be talking about managing full-time jobs with competing in affiliated dressage as well. We're going to be chatting about Katie's journey and indeed the exciting part of that journey now, new chapter where she is with Riviera PR. And so if you've got any questions on anything to do with any of that, and of course, Katie and I have been working together for years and years. In fact, Katie was actually one of my very early clients. And obviously I didn't have any friends then, so she became a friend. So that's how we got to know each other. I've got lots of friends now, so I don't have to do that with clients. It's all cool. So yeah, anyway. We're going to be chatting about things like that. So Katie, maybe you just want to take a moment to introduce yourself in the way that you would like to be introduced, while I also have a look on the Facebook page now, see if there's any questions or anything come through.
Yeah, no worries. I think you probably summed it up quite well. I was trying to work out today how long it's been since we met, and it was obviously before River, my horse, just before DJ, so I think it must be 5 or 6 years ago now. And I only remember that first session us discussing blue fluffy blobs. Amongst other things, the one thing I can remember, like the first conversation we had. But yeah, that was before. I think I was very fortunate to have a lesson with Charlotte Desjardins coming up, and I was dead nervous about riding in front of her. So my mum, bless her, booked me a session with you. And that's where it all began.
Yes, indeed, that is where it all began. I remember now in the indoor school at Merriswood Arena. DJ, bless him, was on his best behaviour, I think we'd probably say.
Yeah, he was quirky.
He was quirky, bless him, wasn't he? And yeah, that's where it all began. So we did some of my very early stuff then, didn't we? Around about how you can control your mind and your body at that point in time. And we might even get on to some of that stuff later on and how that's helped you. But I think probably to start off with, let's have a little chat about Riviera PR and where you are today. Tell us some more.
So it was something I toyed with probably 5 or 6 years ago. Let's see what you're up to now. I think somebody came to me and said, "Oh, you've managed to get sponsors for yourself, and you're just riding at novice. How did you do that?" And I thought, "Oh, maybe I could do that for other riders." But nothing really came of it. I can't remember which job I was working in at the time, but I just decided corporate job was safe. Was enjoying what I was doing, didn't really have any objections against it, and I thought being a contractor or self-employed was far too risky. But I started what I thought was my dream job 18 months ago, and moved my whole life, moved away from my friends, bought a house, thought it was going to be the bee's knees, and was pretty much miserable from day one. And I got to breaking point, and my notice period was 6 months, and I went, stuff it, I'm just going to have my notice in and work this out later. Obviously did some work with you on that, and you said, well, you're pretty good at that social media stuff, why don't you give that a go? I thought, well, service business, I can set this up. I have ridden for a long time. I balance work and riding, ride reasonably competitive, like I'm not an international rider, but I do okay. And I thought maybe I can just come at this from an angle of a rider, you know, and help riders. I think it's really challenging now. Riders can't just be riders. They've got to be business managers, they've got to be social media managers, they've got to be accountants. And there's so much more to it now than just riding and teaching. And from my years of getting it right and getting it wrong, I thought maybe I can use this to help other people, and I really enjoy helping. So if I can help riders, well, and quite a lot of businesses now, to do better, to succeed with their social media, whether it is to get sponsors, then I thought, you know, why not give it a go and just see what happens.
Okay, so I would say you've done more than just give it a go and see what happens, really, wouldn't you? Because actually, you've done some great stuff in doing it part time outside of your, outside of your job. Um, like already, you've done fantastic social media for us on Flying Changes. It was an absolute godsend when I went away for a couple of weeks and was completely out of contact for you to be doing the socials for us, and made a huge difference in that as well, for Flying Changes. Got our stats up, got our stuff up and running, even more than it had been. I mean, 7 years I've been doing this for now, and actually in the things that you did and the work that you did more in those few months to do stuff than it had taken me to try and do it myself for 6 or 7 years. So I think, don't undersell yourself here, like, because you've got the knowledge and the understanding of things that those of us doing other stuff haven't got the time to go and work out, or the inclination. It means that you're able to shortcut. So we can be doing what we're good at as businesses, as riders, that kind of thing. So that, and you're going to do what you're good at, which is to manage the social and get things in the right places. And the amount of times I've sent, poor Katie, I really do feel for her sometimes. I sent her a message going, why isn't there a link in my Instagram? You told me there's a blog and there's no link. And Katie's going, well, no, you can't put a link in Instagram. I'm going, oh, okay, what's this link in bio nonsense about? What are you telling me? And she's like, no, well, that's what's this thing. So I really do, honestly, if you work with Katie, her patience is fantastic. She's dealt with me perfectly fine.
I think I'll be all right.
Yeah. So if she can deal with me, then she's going to be fine with anyone else. But maybe, Katie, you can give us some hints and tips on socials, because actually I think you've got more knowledge than you realise. And I think, giving people hints and tips and telling them what they can be doing and why it's important for riders and businesses, but mainly riders, really, to be thinking about their social, even if they're not international status, even if they're wanting to be an influencer, or they want to somehow be out there. Just tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, no problem. I actually did a few phone calls this week of offering like a free sort of power half hour to chat to people, and a lot of the time the question came up was people saying, I'm lost, I don't really know what to write about anymore. And I think for me it always goes back to your why. So why did you set up the page in the first place? And if that was a diary to work on, to record your journey, then keep it that. People started following that because they were enjoying what you were doing. And I think what makes that easier is working out what your personal brand is. So, everyone goes, branding, it's corporate businesses. It's not. You can have your own brand. You don't have to shout about it. You don't have to post what it is, but just be aware of that. So for me, with my Deciphering Dressage page, it was really like, I'm an amateur rider trying to balance riding and competing to the highest level that I can. So my brand was that amateur dressage rider. So then everything starts to focus around that, and you can just do a little brainstorming session, spend 10 minutes, especially now, like you have got time, everyone's got time at the moment, sit and work out what that is, and then you can expand from there. So if it is me being an amateur rider, and it's just easy for me to use this as an example at the moment, think about what things make up for that. So how am I fitting in my riding? How do I plan my week? What products make my life 10 times easier? And then when you start thinking about those little bubbles, you can then bubble off those to make even more posts. So if I'm using products that make my life easier, what products are they? Is it a feed that makes my life easier because it's an all-in-one complete feed? Is it an amazing product? So I can happily drop Jake and Equitstream in this and their products. They have these products that just make grooming so quick and easy. So I can talk about that because I believe in it and it makes my life easier. And it's all those things that kind of point back towards your brand. Working with yourself, how did that help me? Well, did we work on just performance stuff? No, we worked on how I could leave work behind and go and ride my horse, and that be a separate situation. And then everything kind of hangs off that. And I think that's when you've got that brand of yourself sorted, all the rest kind of flows. And if you are sat quiet and you've got busy, you run out of ideas. When you do have ideas, just put everything down in the notes section of your phone. So you can put 20 post ideas as it comes up. And then on another day, you can post about it when you have got time, or you've run out of content or run out of things to do. But I think fundamentally, when you are posting, especially as your rider, just think about that and relate everything back, because when you think about your why and why you did that and who you are, everything else can kind of stem back to it.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Katie. That's really good. And hopefully that's really helpful for a lot of the people that are watching at the moment, because I know a lot of people in the lounge here right now aren't necessarily pro riders. I mean, obviously some of my guys in here are, but a lot of people are amateurs and they want to be able to post about their journey, their story. They're not necessarily looking for sponsorship or anything like that. But if something came along, if they were talking about a brand that they love because they genuinely do love that brand, because that's kind of what you're saying, isn't it? Don't just do it for the sake of it. Do it because you genuinely love it and work with it and enjoy it. What if that brand then did come to them and say, hey, we love the fact that you've been promoting our brand. We'd like to work with you. What would you say to them about kind of hints and tips around working with brands in that way?
I think that if they're coming to you, that's fantastic. A lot of the times I kind of work with people approaching them, but just have a chat with them and work out what would be in it for both of you. So if they want 30 posts a week of you promoting their product, it's probably not feasible and not something you'd want to do. But if there is a balance that works effectively for you, so you do commit to posting, you perhaps commit to writing a blog for them, do really work out what you can commit to, because actually it does take a lot of time to keep up a good social media platform and a website and a blog. So do think about it. I've really got into the idea of Sponsor Sunday. I just love that. If you're on a Sunday, write about sponsors. But just agree up front what will work for both of you, and that if it is enough. Like a lot of the time, I do think people try too much to think about what's in it for me, and you've got to work out what you can offer them. But at the same time, if you're going to commit to doing 2 posts a week for them and a blog, and they offer you 10% off, is that going to work for you as well? I would always, if you want to approach a brand, think about how you can help them. Always, you've got to put their hat on and work out, how can you help them? If somebody came up to you and said, give me free stuff, what for? So do think about it. Really try before you ever approach a company to put that hat on and go, okay, how can I help them? And if it was me and somebody was coming to me and asking for my product for free, what would I expect back? And I think that changes the whole dynamic, because really you want to help them and help promote them.
Cool, thank you. And what about then, completely forgotten what I was going to ask then. I had a fantastic question for you. It was right on the tip of my tongue. Okay, yeah, so why, here we are, that's the question I remember now. Why do you think riders now want and need sponsors? Because it's not about a saddle pad or a coat, or is it? Or, about a free bit of something. It's way more than that now, isn't it? And I know you work with some real top riders on big packages and things for them around sponsorship and social and branding and things like that. What is it that you're doing for them that they need?
It's a good question. A lot of it is, the products would make their life easier. So having feed, if you're running a big yard, it's expensive, and it's kind of a bit part about is bringing that cost down. But I think a lot of it is also the kudos and the fact you're representing some big brands. That helps, when you're out competing, it looks good. But also, if you're coaching and want to coach people, the fact you are associated with big companies kind of gives you a little bit of I think like good word's gone completely from my mouth, but kudos and reputation is the word I'm looking for, sorry. So I think it's a good mix of both of those things, really. The sponsorships do make life easier, but at the same time, it is about having that backing and that team and making a really good team, because fundamentally for me when I'm riding, being part of a great team there's nothing else like it, really. So it can be quite a singular, lonely sport. So adding those companies in adds another factor, which makes it all a bit more enjoyable.
Cool. Okay. And so with that then, who have you got on your team at the moment, and what have you enjoyed the most about having those people on your team then? Obviously you have to say me.
Well, I've got this one sponsor and she's a nightmare. I think I've got a real mix. I obviously work with yourself, and I've worked with you for a really long time. And that's been really great.
Like, less of the really long bit now, okay? Because it does make us both. It does make us both sound old. So we just really need to be mindful of our personal brand here. Mine's very young and fresh, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I'll
work with you on that.
All right.
and in that sense, like for me, with my competing as a junior and on my last horse, Oscar, I'd spent so much time stressing about competition that when he got injured, I realised I'd never enjoyed it. So we worked together a lot to make my competition experience a joyful one. So it was less stressful and much less results based. It was all focused on controlling the controllables, which I'll talk about heaps. But then also, like, I've been really fortunate to work with brands like Protexin and Voltaire, who are huge brands and support some of the top riders in the world. And then there's little old me that's tooting along in the background, and you know, they've recognised what I've done and the results, and they'll still celebrate them with me, even though I'm much smaller than an Ollie Townend jumping around Badminton or Burley. And then Balanced Horse Feeds have supported me with feed, and that's been incredible because A, I know I've got good feed and advice behind me, but B, the financial saving on that has been really, really big. So yeah, I think for me, it just made me feel like I could do it, and it was a real boost. And you know, sometimes I'd almost be embarrassed about working with them, but yeah, it's a real pleasure. I think it's an honour to be associated with some of those brands, so I've been very fortunate.
Cool. Okay, thank you. Right, I've got a question coming from Cassie here.
Oh yeah.
Cassie is one of our fellow ambassadors on the Flying Changes Ambassador scheme. Hi, Cassie. Right, it looks like she's got two questions. Okay, right, I have a question. I've been offered products from brands before and I've tried their products, but I don't believe in promoting a product unless I believe in it. And a company that I love won't use me as an ambassador as I already promote their products. So how do I promote myself to these companies without giving it all away for nothing? Does that make sense, that question?
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, okay. there is a fine line between promoting a product because you love it and then them going, well, you already shout about it, so why would I? But also yeah, like actually being able to get something off them. And I think, keep looking over there, concentrating faces, not my finest. If you do genuinely love a product, there's nothing wrong with dropping it in post. And I think especially at the moment, like, it's good to be doing everyone a favour. If you're posting about them every single day and you're not yet getting anything from them, then, which is fine, you can do that, but there's no incentive for them. I think you almost need to think about it like dating. So this is an analogy I've just come up with, but you know, you want to flirt a bit, you want to show that you're interested, but don't give it all away on the first date. So if you are truly genuinely loving a product and do want to work with them, do a couple of posts here and there to show them what you're capable of, but also approach them. So before you start shouting about them from the rooftops, approach them before you get to that phase. But if you know you love them and you've used it for years, but haven't yet started posting about it, do drop the odd few posts, but do go and speak to the brand up front. The worst thing is that they say no, and then, you know, but if you do genuinely love it and want to talk about it, then do. There is nothing wrong with that. And I think actually genuine posts, a lot of people are more likely to buy from the normal riders, I think, showing how they truly use a product than a big rider, because it will sometimes looks like they're just paid for it. Some riders do it very well. So, oh God, I've lost my train of thought. But no, I've gone.
That's okay. While you'll get your train of thought back, I'll just tell you that the reactions to your analogy of dating is perfect. Yeah. People are loving that.
Kind of,
you couldn't see me.
Find a balance, you know. It is really important to talk about brands you love, and that's what I was going to say. So if you are genuinely talking about products you love, then maybe that company won't work with you, but people start seeing you as someone they can trust for talking about products they like, and then they'll be like, oh, Cassie, yeah, she really recommends, she keeps talking about this product, I might go and try it. And then more people come and follow you because you're becoming a bit of an expert in your field. Don't talk about everything. Like, if you really genuinely do it and they are genuine posts, they're great, and people will come to you as someone they can rely on, and then opportunities might fall off the back of that.
Perfect. Cassie says that makes sense. Thank you. So that's great. Thanks very much, Katie, for that one. And we love an analogy off the cuff. They're the best type for sure.
You can tell I didn't do much dating.
You didn't do much dating. Well, maybe we all now know why. But, Okay. So some other things then. So you are a bit of a social media guru. Like you know things about it that I don't even have time to learn, let alone any inclination to be quite honest with you. So when it comes to, let's go Facebook first, and then we'll do Instagram, and then we'll talk about any other types that are probably out there that I wouldn't even know of. What would be your top tips if someone wants to grow their Instagram, or they want to get more visibility and they don't necessarily at the moment want to work with someone like you specifically, but they just want to have a little go at some stuff for themselves?
So for Instagram, I think probably hashtag engagement is top. I've given away everything for my little coaching program right now. So get doing some hashtag research. At the moment, you've got time, so there's no excuses. Look at posts that you or accounts that you love, and look at the hashtags that they're using, and look at the hashtags that are doing well. You then want a really good mix of some that have got a few million, some that have got tens of thousands, and some that have got hundreds. The reason being, I don't know if you've ever followed a hashtag, but it goes with top and recent. And if you happen to be the most recent on a top one, excellent, lots of people are going to see it, but you'll probably fall away in the top because there'll be people with millions and you won't get seen. Whereas if you're on a smaller hashtag, you will get seen as perhaps one of the top posts, which is what it defaults to. So get a good mixture. You can have up to 30 hashtags on a post. I think that Instagram likes 8 to 10, but you can still use 30. So at the moment, I would recommend at least using 8, but anywhere in between. And then the notes section of your phone. So this is the golden place to keep stuff. Try and drop in maybe 60 hashtags. You don't have to do it all at once, but if you do doing some research and you find some great, you should probably update them. But then take a handful of them each time and just copy and paste them into your posts. So you don't want the same hashtags every single post. That doesn't perform well, but a handful of them. But if you've got them all locked in your phone, then that's great. And then perhaps every couple of months, just update them with what's going on, trends. I mean, you wouldn't want to keep COVID-19 in your hashtag list in 6 months, but for now, it's one to get you up and noticed. Also follow hashtags. So it's good to follow accounts, but if you follow hashtags, you see more accounts. It's hard if that makes sense. So instead of just following Dave, who keeps posting, lovely, if you follow hashtag course, you might see Dave, Fred, Jim, Harry, and Bob. Now, if you comment and engage on those, they might engage back. So instead of having one post and one person engage back, you get one post and you might get 6 different people engage. I think the hashtag world is a bit of a dark art, and I'm still, I think we all still are learning. There's no degree, there aren't degrees in it yet, but you just have to be engaging. I think a lot of it is the more you put into those platforms, the more you succeed. So my Deciphering Dressage page has always done brilliantly well on Facebook. I spend much more time on Facebook with it. My Riviera PR page is doing well on Instagram, much better on Instagram. I spend more time on Instagram with it. It's just about what you get in, you get back. A relationship.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And so that's just some hints and tips about one tiny element of what you can do with Instagram, isn't it? And I know you keep giving me bits of information. I go, what? I don't understand what you're on about. That you will then explain to me about all sorts of different things. There's lots of stuff, isn't there? There's things like stories, there's Instagram TV, there's like little videos you can do. There's all sorts of really cool stuff. So if someone wants to know more about how they can do that for themselves with you, you've got a 4-week coaching thing coming up, am I right? Have you still got spaces on that, or is that full now?
Yes. So I've got a couple of spaces for April still left, more in May. Basically it's a 4-week program, so my focus has been on basically sort of getting social media sorted and then how you go about and approach brands to work with them. So over the 4 weeks, we'll cover branding yourself from week 1 into week 2. We go into how you use social media, and then we go into how you approach a brand, and then you manage a good relationship with them. It is all one-to-one sessions with me. So we'll get quite a deep dive and be able to look at your platforms, but there's also a heap of worksheets that go alongside that to help. So you'll get a little bit of homework each week as well. And then there's hints, tips, cheats, there's hashtag lists, there's all sorts that come along with it. So, but all of it is basically to get you up and running. So when we come out the other side, you're ready to go and support brands, or if you are working with companies right now, but your social media isn't perfect, there is no excuse not to do it.
Fab. Thank you very much for that. We could go a little bit into Facebook if you want to, just a tiny little bit, a couple of hints and tips there about how to grow a Facebook audience, or maybe even, you know, why you'd use a page as opposed to yourself or groups, that kind of thing. So just a couple of bits on that, because again, you know, if you really want to know more about how it works for you, because this, like you said, it's very tailored, this, isn't it? It's like, it depends what your brand is, what you're doing, as to how you use stuff, is my understanding.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit of general bits there then.
So Facebook, don't use hashtags, doesn't like them. Videos perform best on Facebook, followed by photos, and then posted words don't do that well. I would also say, I had a great tip and it's just disappeared off the top of my tongue. If you are, the bonus of setting up a page rather than having it as your personal profile is insights. So insights give you all the stats about your reach, how posts are doing and how they're performing, which for me, I think is massively important. So when you're approaching a brand to work with them, you can say, oh yeah, this week I've had a reach of 30,000 people. So you might only have 2,000 people that follow you, but the reach is massive that can see what you're doing, and you can increase that reach by sharing it to your own pages, sharing stuff into groups, getting people to engage with it. And if people comment on your post, always comment back. Always. There's, you know, if you want your post to grow, then you're going to have to put the effort in. It doesn't just happen by magic. So yeah, really be engaging has been my top tip for Facebook.
Cool, thanks very much. So I think that's kind of covered a little bit about sponsorship, about riders, about brands, about working with them, about your Instagram, your Facebook. Is there any other social media platforms or anything that you think's worth using at the moment for riders and sponsors?
I think some are still using Twitter, and Twitter is still quite popular with the hours that they have. LinkedIn is growing in popularity. I think, I don't want to say TikTok, but I'm sure that's going to be happening soon. It scares me because I'm worried I'm going to feel like a dad at a disco when I get into a lot of TikTok. But for me at the moment, Facebook and Instagram, the two big ones, I think they work really well for riders. Instagram is going to overtake Facebook fairly soon. So if you're not on Instagram, get on it. You need to. And then get a website if you are really serious. Like, people need somewhere where they can go to. People are going to research you. If you're a rider and trainer, people need to be able to find you. So a good website is pretty important.
Okay, so just to touch on that really, really quickly then, you know, when you say a good website, and you can spend thousands and thousands, can't you, on a website? But really, it just needs to be a place where people can see about you, contact you if they want to. Because a lot of people will now research you on Facebook, won't they? They'll go and find your page, but they might want to check it out not offline, but, you know, like on a website off of Facebook. So what would you say are the bare essentials, and how would someone go about getting a really simple, basic, but you know, like really effective website up and running, do you think?
You can build a base website pretty well using like WordPress and Wix, but I'd just get in touch with companies that can do it. I think first and foremost, you don't have to spend a fortune, but if you are a bit nervous about it, do get in touch. I think a lot of it is, you know, people still Google trainers. So if people move areas, like, it's pretty hard to go on to Facebook and say, I want to find a trainer in Northampton. Whereas the internet will still be there for that. And as well, for sponsors, it's another platform that you can sit and advertise yourself, and I think that's pretty crucial. You know, you can put blogs on the website, you can add all their logos to a website, you can send newsletters out, and emailing lists and those kind of things really make a big difference.
Cool. And if someone does want to do that, then that is also a service that you can provide, isn't it? Getting a website set up for someone as part of a package for them.
Yep, we can go big or small, or I can totally put you in the right place if you want to go all full beans with a big website. Know some really good companies for that as well. So.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so we've talked about social media, we talked about sponsorship riding, we talked a little bit about your journey. We've also touched on setting up your own business and how you did that. But I think there's some people out there that actually, especially now, are perhaps feeling a little bit like they're reassessing things, they're reevaluating things. Maybe their companies have annoyed them a bit. I know some people are getting really annoyed with their companies behaving in this current environment with things. They're not showing much compassion or flexibility, which is actually what they do need to show. And they're perhaps starting to think about maybe whether they do something different, whether they follow their dream or, you know, take that leap right now, because actually now is the perfect time to be doing that. Now, when you've got your own business, it's much easier to what we call pivot, which means you've got your own business, you can start doing something different fairly quickly if you need to, because you've got that flexibility. You haven't got someone you're answering to. But if you're in a job, as we both have done, I mean, I left my big corporate job 7 years ago, which is why I've spent the last probably 4 years trying to persuade you to do the same. But what would you say would be your thoughts on that to people that are perhaps where you were 6 months ago, knowing that really something isn't right for them, but just not knowing what on earth to do about it? What would you say to people that might be in that situation, especially right now?
Yeah, I feel like I was fortunate. I mean, I'm week 1 in, so ask me in a few months to see how much money I'm earning. But I did sit and think a lot about what I could do and what I could set up. And part of you sits and goes, oh, how can I make a multi-million-pound business and I can earn loads of money and never work? But keep it small. For now, I think set it up so if it can be service-based and online, then that's kind of perfect. But work out what you really enjoy doing. So when you're going around the house, like, you know, what problems do you have that you think you can solve, or think about, you know, what do people come to you and ask, and that's where you start building that base up, I guess, as well. Like, I was quite fortunate because I had the 6 month notice period. I started shoving a lot of money in the bank, not loads, but some. So I know I've got a couple of months grace before I start getting in trouble, which allows me to get moving. But if you can make it in an industry, you know, I mean, I've been really lucky. Most of the people that have come to me have been people I know or friends of people I know, because they've known me from my riding and my other backgrounds, and that's been a huge help. And I think if you can tailor the two, so think about what people are coming to you for help with, and then are they people in a certain industry, can you tailor it to that niche and go from there, and then get as much help as you can. I would recommend investing in a business coach, because they've done it all before and they've made all the mistakes that you are probably going to make, but don't have to, because you get to learn from them, and it puts you in such a better headspace. Like, if you are getting in a panic and a tiz, you can chat to them and they kind of work it out, and you realize it's not that bad. So they would probably be my 3 tips. So invest in a business coach, work out what people are asking to you and coming to you from for, and is that in an area that you know, and get some money in the bank.
Okay, and what about the actual fear of doing it? So you're over that line now, you've done it. I couldn't have asked you this a couple of months ago because you weren't there. In fact, a couple of months ago, I'm sure you don't mind me saying, you were at the, oh my God, it's actually going to happen now phase.
Yeah.
You're over that now. So what would you say about the, 6 month notice is actually really rare, isn't it, to have to do a 6 month notice period? And most people, for me it was 3, but most people it's 1. So obviously you had 6 months knowing that this was going to happen. But if someone's got, say, a month's notice period or something, and therefore when they decide to do it, they probably aren't just going to do it in a month. That really wouldn't be recommended, but they've got their plan in place and they want to do it. How do you feel now you're the other side of getting over the fear, and what would be your advice to people about getting over the fears, the concerns, the worries, all of the things that you've been through to get to where you are now?
I think a lot of that I kind of still find it weird to talk about, like with the mindset stuff. I So my background was I grew up in a farm, well, my family are farmers. I have a maths and engineering background, and I've worked in motorsports, so I don't really do airy-fairy. Mindset, non-tangible, non-touchable, can't really see direct results. Always felt like it was a little bit of some wizardry. And for me, part of the work I did with my amazing coach and do some stuff similar with you is a morning routine, and and I still find it hard to talk about because I do feel like it's a little bit airy-fairy, but every day I just spend 15 minutes in the morning working out what I am grateful for, writing down some affirmations. So, you know, if you are somebody that lacks confidence, that if you tell yourself you'll lack confidence, you always will lack confidence. So trying to turn that on its head, and just spending some time meditating. Meditation for me, I suffered with depression a few years ago, and it really helped me out of that and just get some peace and rest. And I think starting my day from those places with that little routine each day has made a really big difference. Being able to control my thoughts and my, you know, insecurities, and just kind of, it's not even quash them, but just control them a little bit and say, no, you know, you're not taking control of my day to day, has been probably one of the biggest things that I think has helped me going into this.
Cool. Sorry, there's a little pause every time because I have to unmute myself so that you can see Katie when she's talking on the screen. She don't want to see me at the same time. Okay. And yeah, it's do you know, it's a really interesting one, this, the whole idea of morning routines, affirmation, what you're grateful for, that kind of thing, because actually I can tell you now that I am in a group with lots of incredibly successful business people. Like, they are multimillionaires, they run massive companies, and nearly all of them do something like that and have that view of mindset, which is about, you have to be in control of your own mind, you have to be grateful, you have to be very present, you have to take time to give your brain a rest as well as your body and things, to take the pressure off yourself, know when to put it on, know when to be motivated. Because any entrepreneur, whether they've got people under them in a business, or whether they're a bit more of a one-man band, or whether they do more like I do, which is have lots of people who contract and do work for me on contracts and things that I need. So I've got a team, but they're not employed by me. You're on your own. Like, you are on your own, and that's something that you're going to be getting used to over time. But as we might want to call it airy-fairy or whatever you want, but I can guarantee you every single one of those successful business people do something like that, because you have got to be in the best brain space to be able to get yourself up and going and motivated and doing something every single day, when there is no one over you that you're accountable to if you don't do it. You know, if you don't bring any money in, then there's accountability. You know, I've got mortgages to pay, livery bills, you know, all that kind of thing. But other than that, like, there isn't anyone saying, why haven't you done this? So yeah, I mean, we call it what we like, but what it actually is about, you know, that positive mindset, that being very self-assured, very inwardly confident, and we're not all like that all the time. Like, that's not a human thing. If anyone ever tells you they're always confident and they're always self-assured, they're lying. But knowing where to get that help if you need it is really important, isn't it? Having that, like you say, that support team around you, that business coach, that mindset mentor, that person who's just a bit further down the line than you are, that can help you shortcut and help you avoid the mistakes that they made, is just so important, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, isn't it, the saying goes, like, business and life, it's 80% mindset and 20% skill. And I don't know how many times I've ever looked at someone and gone, I know more than them, and why are they doing it? And actually they've just gone, sod this, you know, I'm going to go and do it, and I'm going to go and give it a try. And that is half of it. But, you know, back it up with research, back it up with hard work. It's not all going to happen just off the top of your head and by thinking that you can. You have got to work pretty hard for it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, isn't it? And you know, the people, when we talk about things like passive incomes, like Horsey Courses is just launching, which is a place where people can put their courses online. They don't need to have any technical knowledge to do it. So I've taken away those barriers for people. And there's lots of people that are saying, oh yeah, but there's people that are better than this that are out there at the moment doing it. And it's like, yeah, okay, there are, but they're not you. and you're going to bring whatever's unique to you in, aren't you? You know, the same with Riviera PR. You're not the only PR and social media company out there, far from it.
There's loads.
Yeah, there's loads, but not you. You know, they haven't got your background or your education. They haven't got your experience. They probably weren't ever riders anywhere near to the level that you've ridden at and to the things you've done. And you're very what's the word? It's something I never am. Humble about it. No, I'm only joking. Modest, that was the word. You're very, very modest about it, actually. But, you know, if anyone ever looks up what Katie's been and done, especially when she was younger on student riding and things, you know, she's done some fairly decent stuff. You know, some of the people that she puts me in contact with and went, oh yeah, I used to compete against them, I was in a team with them. The only difference being that Katie went off and did the motorsport career thing and they carried on riding. That's why they're where they are now, you know. But without digressing. Sorry?
The best analogy I ever heard was, you know, you walk down the street and you see Costa next to Starbucks. Like, you walk down the bread aisle and there's 5 different types of bread. You know, you all pick the one that you like and there's different options for everyone. And if you are thinking about doing something, you go, oh yeah, but somebody's already doing that. That's great. That means there's a market for it. That means people want it. You know, being the first one to do something, it does pay off sometimes, but a lot of the time, you know, you've got to be big with a big idea. And I'm not saying don't do that, but if you are at the moment thinking about it, don't be put off by the competition. You know, competition is a good thing. And actually, the self-employed business market has been one of the most supportive industries that I've kind of walked into. You know, the business coach I work with does exactly what I do near enough, and she's helped me grow. And I think actually, you know, because not everyone can do everything, and there's a lot of people out there, we've all got something slightly different to offer. And I came out of motorsport and it was dog eat dog. I think someone spoke to me once and said, oh, you girls must all stick together because, you know, there's only a handful of you. And it's like, no, we're direct competition, you know. And it was not very nice at all. Whereas in this industry so far, everyone's just trying to help everyone, especially during this pandemic. It's actually quite a positive place to be.
Yeah, in a weird way, you've actually hit it at a really good time, especially doing what you do, because actually at the moment, you know, technology is what everyone needs, and social presence and being able to get out there and promote their message of whatever it is that they're doing is exactly what everyone needs at the moment, for sure. Yeah,
I mean, I speak to a lot of people and they're like, oh, you went self-employed now. You're like, well, A, I handed my notice in 6 months ago, so I didn't really see this coming. But B, you know, it is tough. But if I can make it work now, I know I'll be able to make it work in the future. So I'm doing all that I can to help people. I've given out a lot of free half hours this week to help people get online and get their social media moving. And I think anything that I can do, I'm trying to do at this time. I think it's just important that we all stick together.
And I think the really nice thing as well is I know you can't, you know, go out and get too distracted by other things either at the moment. So when there would have been, I know when I first launched my business, yes, I was very keen to do things and what have you, but actually that the distractions were huge because of course they're novel. I wasn't able to go and just have lunch with someone or go and just do something. So they kind of, when I started out, took over a little bit. But hey, here's the best part. You can't do that. You have to sit there in your office and get on with it all. But it does mean it's going to be even sweeter when not only have you launched a fantastic business and you're making it work really well, but you can then go and do some of the things that the whole point of this was to have a lovely work-life balance as well, wasn't it? And that's on its way.
And thankfully I'm busy, like I've got stuff to do. My company's put everyone on 3 weeks holiday. If I was sat at home indoors now with nothing to do, I think I'd go absolutely mental. So yeah, I'm trying to see all the positives in it at the moment.
Okay, and so finally then, I thought let's just look a little bit more into where you've come from, which is as a professional corporate person, you know, in a normal, inverted commas, as you'll always be told now, you know, are you ever going to get a normal job again? Which makes me laugh. I still get told that now. Are you ever going to do a normal job? No. But yes, so that's what you were doing, and you were still riding, you know, very well at affiliated levels and doing well at championships and training hard. And so what would be your hints and tips for people who are in that situation at the moment, who are really keen to do very well? What would be the things that you say concentrate on, and what gives you the edge, really, I suppose, in that sense?
I think people always say, oh, I don't have time. And I think you really have to look at yourself and say, is it that I don't have time, or am I not prioritizing this? And you know, there is nothing wrong with that, but you can't expect the results. I've been very fortunate in many ways. You know, my horse is super talented, and I've missed the odd ride here and there, and she accounts for and makes up for some of my lack of talent. But you have to be prepared to put in the hours. You know, you can't just say, oh, I want to go and qualify for the nationals and not be willing to ride your horse 6 days a week. You know, I try and use my lunch breaks to go to the gym, and just utilize every hour. I did sacrifice a lot of my personal life. It's been difficult with my other half as well. But I sat to him and said to him the other day, I was like, you know, I'm really fortunate. Riding, you know, a top hat and tails is my dream. It's been my childhood dream. And I'm working towards that. Not many people get to. So, you know, if it means I don't go on a holiday or I don't go out on a Friday night, for me, that doesn't matter, because I'm getting to live my dream in to some extent. It sounds really corny, I know, but you just have to be prepared to put in that hour. If it means getting up at 5 instead of 6, or in the dark, or riding your horse at 10, just really be good at structuring your day, I think, is the main thing, and planning. I really miss my little equestrian planners, because they completely sorted my week out. You know, I'd look at the shows, get the shows in the calendar, and then work backwards from those of when I'd be riding, what I'd want to do on what days, when I need my lessons. Then trying to make sure that my horse is getting enough rest days, she isn't doing the same thing too many times. And then, because I'm sat at a desk all day, you know, I'm not very fit. I'm still really crooked and need to do a lot more to work on my straightness, but I would be trying to get in the gym through my lunch breaks at work, so that I'm being as fit and strong as I could be for her, because at the end of the day, a lot of it for me is not letting my horse down. Daft as it sounds, she don't know, but wanting to be able to do her proud. She's incredibly talented, so if you want it, you're just gonna have to go and work for it. There's no cheating to it, but do surround yourself with the right people. So if it is, you know, like with you, Jenny, for me, in my head, I really struggle with enjoying it, and I'd put a lot of pressure on myself, and it drove me into quite a state of despair, really. I was really miserable when actually doing something that I love. It doesn't make any sense. I remember as a kid, somebody coming to me and saying, why do you keep putting yourself through this? Like, why do you do it to yourself? And you know, this is meant to be for me, is my hobby, my fun. And we worked a hell of a lot on that. And I think it's getting that right team around you, so that you are in the right frame and you're supported by the right people to do the best that you can do. If that does mean that you have to put your horse on full livery or invest in different areas of your life, then that is what you need to do.
Cool. Okay, and so to touch on that then, if you could give some people here some hints and tips. Oh, sorry, I've just seen a comment here from Nikki, right, and then we'll go on to this. This is so sweet. Nikki Allen has said, it's not corny at all. I'm with you on your dream. Shall we have a tails party next year?
Absolutely. This is why I've got to earn money, so I can afford my new tailcoat.
Yeah. Well, Nikki has her new tailcoat. Nikki was on this Q&A previously. What we didn't show you, I should have put the video on, was her prancing around the house in her beautiful tails and top hat. It was the best video. I was crying at it because she's stuck indoors and she wanted to wear top hat and tails, so she did. But yeah, so I was going to ask you then, so you touched upon the fact that we talked about some things that helped you to remember that it's a hobby, you do enjoy it. Yes, you want to do well at it, of course, that's absolutely fine, but I know there was definitely some particular things that you found really useful that you've used over the years to help you with the sort of the mindset element of it, because it's quite complex really sometimes, isn't it? You know, the whole kind of wanting to do well but not putting the pressure on, so it goes against you, but then it's a hobby, but then you really want to do it and you're working hard to pay for it, and it can be so much, can't it? So what would you say, tips to some other people that you found really helpful over certainly the last few years, hasn't it really, that's helped you out?
The biggest one for me was, and the one I always go back to when I'm stuck, is controlling the controllables. That's controllables, I'm not sure it's even really a proper word. But for me, that was the massive one. So I used to go to a show and be in the warm-up, be like, oh my God, look at that horse. Oh my God, look at it, so-and-so. Oh my God, look at, and I really need to get 70%, and, you know, and I need to do this, and I've got to qualify for that, because otherwise, you know, I'm not a good rider. And actually, all of those things are completely outside my realm of control, and it like tears me up when I see people going, my aim for this show is to get 70%. You're like, you can't do anything about it. Like, the judge might just be really miserable that day and say, I'm only giving out sixes. You can't do anything about it. But what you can control is how you're going to ride that day, and going, oh, I'm going to control my riding, that isn't specific enough. You've got to be really like down to the detail and go, okay, I am what would I used to use? So like I'd get in the test, okay, and I'd take my leg off. So I'd just get in there and absolutely flop. So for me, it was like, right, I'm going to ride 2 legs to 2 hands. That is what I'm going to, and it's really simple, really basic, and I shouldn't be, trying to get my way around a medium test thinking that, but I have to do it, and it makes me put my leg on, it makes me ride forwards, and it makes me ride my horse. And I'd take 3 things, because only, I think 3 things when we spoke about it, Jenny, is like the maximum number you can come up with. And it might be like, I'm going to ride leg to hand properly today. I'm going to go down that centre line with 2 legs on. I'm going to remember my free walk to squeeze the toothpaste to get those marks out. That is my method of riding a free walk. And then I want to get a nice photo. And they're the 3 things that I can control, and I can completely and utterly know if I've done those, I've done the best I can. And inevitably, when you do that, you come out with way better results than you would have done in the first place. But you have to kind of not go, and that's when I found myself getting into another loop, was going, well, if I do that, I know I'll do well. And then you put another level of pressure on. So that's when I'd go back to Jenny and have a bit of a refresher and say, actually, I need to go back to being able to enjoy this. And it's weird because I got into a state where the results, if I had a good day or a bad day, I was very level. And it became almost like I was neutral to competing. But I've worked on that as well, and gone back to, actually being really grateful for when I have done well, and making sure I give my horse loads of carrots, and just being very thankful for the opportunities she's given me, really.
Cool, great stuff, thank you. Just one caveat on the photo, that's provided there's a decent photographer there, mind you, isn't it?
yeah, there is though with most of them. If not, just try and take one on your phone, something like that,
Just come away with a picture. That was your thing. Cool.
I used to do that when she was a young horse, give her a good confidence fulfilling round, because she's got to learn and get in the arena, and that would mean riding positively forwards and not being intent. If your sack of spud sat on top, you're not going to give your 4-year-old a very good competition experience, are you? So working around those kind of goals and that kind of stuff.
Cool. Yeah, so and it's being flexible with those kind of goals, isn't it? So sorry, I just had to refresh Facebook there, but it's all come back again, that's fine. So yeah, okay, well, I think we've covered an awful lot of stuff there, actually, Katie, and there's been tons and tons of hints and tips and information. So just while people have an opportunity, if they want to ask any questions, I think we may have lost the live for a minute by the looks of it. So we're still streaming live, so this will be on the replay, but I've got a feeling, let me just see if I can refresh it. Oh, there we are. No, we're back again. That's cool on the live. So yes, so while people just get an opportunity, if there are any questions you guys want to ask, we're just going to have another couple of minutes and then we will be finishing. But what would be your kind of thoughts then around your journey and everything over the years that have got you to where you are today? What would you say have been the things, if you were to give yourself some advice back to yourself, say 10 years ago? Probably never thought you'd be where you are today, doing what you're doing, having done what you've done, and what have you. What advice would you give back to yourself? I won't say how old, 10 years ago.
A working career, scary, isn't it?
And there you go. So yeah, so what, when you just, no, I won't even say that because that will give it away as well. We just graduated. What would you say to that Katie back there, if you could give her a message now?
Yeah, the only thing I've had a very privileged, like a very lucky career, and been on some amazing trips and worked with some incredible people. I wouldn't change any of that. I think the only thing I'd change is make sure I enjoyed it on the way. Life goes by pretty quick, and just stop and take it in for a little while. And I think a lot of it for me was the pressure got to me too often. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be doing the right job, doing the right things, doing the right thing with my horse, and being friends with the right people, trying to please everybody else. That is the main one, really, just trying to please everyone else and do what is right by society. And there is no right. You've got to do what you want to do. At the end of the day, you've got to look after number one, and I don't think I have ever really done a very good job in that. So yeah, whilst I wouldn't change my career, and all the ups and downs I've had with it. I would just think I should have taken a little bit more time to bask in the sun in Bermuda when I was there, for example. Just life's too short, isn't it? That's all I've got.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's a fantastic piece of advice. Is, look after number one. It doesn't mean you have to be horrible about it to other people, but look after number one. Find that balance of self-care and still, supporting and being caring to other people as well. And I think that's really key at the moment, really, isn't it? Let's face it, in the situation that we are in now, I think that's probably a really great takeaway to finish with, which is look after yourself. It's really important. No one else can do that bit for you. You have to do it for yourself, because you are the only one that's ever going to be with you. And it doesn't matter where you go, whether that be Bermuda or down the road, you are always with you. And sometimes things can be tough, but it's how you deal with them that makes the difference, and how you treat other people is important too, so it's a balance between those two, isn't it? But without yourself, you're no use to anyone, and particularly those of us that have got our own businesses, or you were somehow helping and supporting other people, whether that be services or whether that be creating lovely products or things that help people in some way. If we're not here to do that, it can't happen. So yeah, look after yourself and celebrate your wins as well.
Treat yourself when you do well.
Yeah, a little bit Prosecco.
Yeah.
One thing I always loved about Katie's mum is she'd always turn up at shows, and basically as soon as Katie had come down the centre line, regardless of what the results were, we'd hear the cork popping and the Prosecco would be handed out. So thank you so much to Katie. Sorry?
You always celebrate before the results now.
Yeah, so we celebrate regardless. So I do try and support Katie as much as I can wherever, because I know without fail I'll get some Prosecco. So
Mum's the best one ever. She sent me a food shop the other day. I mean, there was food in there, but it did include 6 bottles of wine and an Easter egg. So
I love your mum. I think she might be watching this. Hi Sylvia, you're a legend.
Absolutely brilliant.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Katie. Everyone said thank you so much. Really enjoyed it, taking loads away from it. And hopefully the people that are going to watch this on the replay and listen to this on the podcast as well, if you've got any questions for Katie, they can contact you via your Facebook page, Riviera PR.
Yeah, and Instagram.
And your Instagram, which is Riviera PR.
Yeah, Riviera PR Limited, I think.
Yeah. And if they want to watch your riding journey with River, who is obviously the reason you're called Riviera.
He is, yeah.
Then they can follow you on Deciphering Dressage on Facebook and on Instagram.
Yeah, both of those as well.
So if you want to get in touch with Katie about anything, if you want to join her 4-week coaching piece about how she can help you as a rider and a business and what have you, then do get in touch with her. I think she's got a couple of spaces left on that. And if you've got any questions for me about anything, obviously you can contact me as well on Flying Changes Coaching Facebook page, or email Jenny at flyingchangescoaching.co.uk. Thanks so much, Katie. It's been fabulous.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. We might ask you back sometime if you'll come back. So take care. Speak soon. Bye, everyone. See ya.